And we're joined in Washington now by Senator Lindsey Graham, Republican of South Carolina. He's been to Iraq many times. He's been a critic of administration policy. Senator, what happened here? Seems like it just came out of nowhere. Was the administration asleep at the wheel? Was there an intelligence failure? Was this the fault of Maliki in Iraq? How did this happen?
Kind of all of the above. You go back to 2010 and 2011, the perfect storm. We withdraw our forces in 2011, so the security environment falls apart. Maliki, without hand-holding, being pushed by Petraeus and Crocker, the Obama administration had a hands-off approach to the political problems in Baghdad and Syria, got al-Qaeda in Iraq back into the game. We had al-Qaeda in Iraq, which is the predecessor to ISIS, on their backs, and when Syria went bad, they got reinforcements from Syria. So all this came together, and Maliki's a flawed leader, Bob. He has to go. There's no way that Maliki can bring this country back together.
So you think he has to resign?
Absolutely. I've been there so many times I can't count. And after we basically detached ourselves from Iraq, you know, Petraeus and Crocker would go into his office almost every day. I was there with them a lot, pushing all three parties. What's so heartbreaking is that we had this place in a good spot. They were playing politics rather than killing each other. The decision to withdraw U.S. forces created a vacuum. Syria is a launching pad, and it's all come together. We need air power immediately to stop the advance toward Baghdad. If the central government in Iraq collapses, and that's the goal of ISIS, Iran will own the southern part of Iraq. That's where the Shias live. They can operate ISIS from Baghdad to Kurdistan all the way into Syria. They will eventually march on Jordan and Lebanon. Our best ally in the region is the King of Jordan. And they will attack us from that part of Iraq and Syria, according to our own national Director of National Intelligence, FBI Director. The next 9/11 is coming from here.
That's a very serious
That's what they say,
statement.
and I agree with them.
You think that we could have another 9/11?
Oh, I think it's inevitable. The seeds of 9/11s are being planted all over Iraq and Syria. You don't have to believe me. This is what they're telling you they're going to do. They're not hiding their agenda. They want an Islamic caliphate that runs through Syria and Iraq. They're going to take the King of Jordan down because he's an infidel in their eyes as much as we are, and they plan to drive us out of the Mideast by attacking us here at home.
The president says that Maliki has to put in reforms, in other words, bring Sunnis into the government. Do you think our aid should, or whatever we do, should depend on what he does on this?
All bad options for the president. If you use air power, you could kill civilians, but if Baghdad gets infected with these guys and the government collapses, that's the worst case scenario. Any assistance we provide needs to be coordinated with a political solution. You got an acute military problem, you got a chronic political problem. There is no way, in my view, that Maliki can pull this off, but there are people. Your reporter mentioned something about the Iraqi people. The average Shia doesn't want to be dominated by Iran, and the average Sunni has no desire to live their life under ISIS rules. The good news is the average Iraqi wants to move forward. They have no infrastructure to move forward. The Iraqi Air Force is basically grounded. Without American air power, it's going to be hard to turn the tide.
You heard the reports from there. The Iranians say they want to help. Should we encourage them to help, of all things? I mean, should we even be talking to them? Is that a good thing?
Well, we're going to probably need their help to hold Baghdad. Their goal is to create a sectarian Iraq, to have a puppet in Baghdad that's a Shia dominated government where they control the outcome. They want the southern part of Iraq. Our goal is to have an inclusive Iraq, but in the short term, why did we deal with Stalin? Because he was not as bad as Hitler in our eyes. We're going to have some dialogue with the Iranians that say, let's coordinate our efforts, but put a red line to the Iranians. Don't use this crisis to take territory from the Iraqi people. Put them on notice that we will not accept their intervening into Iraq for the purpose of creating a satellite state for Iran.
But you're saying you could see a situation where we have Iranian forces fighting
Yes.
on the ground,
Yes.
and U.S. air power serving as their air arm.
It makes me sick to say it, but Turkey needs to get involved to convince the Sunni Arabs to get back in the game politically. and to keep the Kurds from bolting. If the Kurds break away, then you're going to have another front between Turkey and the Kurds. The Iranians have an interest. They have their Shia populations to protect. We need to all make sure Baghdad doesn't fall. So yes, we need a dialogue of some kind with the Iranians, but we also need to put them on notice. Don't use this crisis as a way to create a satellite state of Iraq controlled by Iran.